Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tools Friday with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY, and today we're here with another episode of the Tools Friday series. On this week's episode, it's going to be a very short one. I'll make it as quick as possible as we have other things we have to do, and as well to save time for you who are interested in using these tools, which we will be demonstrating today. Before we get started, I want to know how you're doing. I hope you're all having a great week so far. For those who are still looking for jobs, looking for opportunities, keep hoping on, keep praying, keep putting in the work. It's just a matter of time before you know it. You're going to get that dream job or that dream opportunity which you are seeking. But ensure that before you get to that point of your life, you have to get that success. You're fully prepared, okay? So keep practicing, keep studying, keep reading books. If you're into penetration testing, keep testing with your own private labs. If you do not have money to pay for subscriptions on platforms like TryHackMe or Hack the Box, just keep putting yourself in practice. Alternatively, you can also go to bug bounty platforms and enroll for VDP programs. So VDP programs is another way of you practicing on how to perfect your skills and show how much you're good at what you're good at. Okay. So with that being said, let's get started with this week's episode. So on this week's episode, we'll be talking about default credentials cheat sheet. So this cheat sheet was designed by FIXITGEARWARE, and it's for the purpose of accumulating all credentials of default logins in one repository. So how does this work is that, as a penetration tester, when you try to pen test a box, you would definitely face a situation whereby you might be fortunate enough to find a login portal, or let's say you performed an active recon and you discover that an SSH port is open on a client's web application. There are possibilities that this SSH terminal that is open are assigned a default credentials to log into them. So when you come across this type of ports or open services, you'll be faced with a situation whereby you now be requiring yourself going online like Google to search for these credentials. And oftentimes this can also waste much of your time, right? Because you might search and get a list, but the one you tried is not there, or might not be the accurate default login credentials because that's changed. Or alternatively, you might even be looking for it, but you're not finding a reliable resources, right? Now, the second aspect also whereby you'll be facing all these challenges is that if you try to use your sec list, which comprises of a list of word lists and credentials, right? You try to perform a brute force attack. It means if your sec list is like over 10 million or 15 million credentials, you have to wait for a long period of time for you to brute force this web application UI, which is of course comprising of the login page which you have discovered during your penetration testing or bug bounty activities. So to make this very easy, FIXITGEARWARE made a design. I would just call it a design because it's not really like a tool that you need to do recon. It's like a database that comprises of over 3,600, if I'm not wrong, credentials. So these credentials are default credentials. Whenever you come across platforms or applications which have their UI or SSH services running, you can now search these credentials using this default credential cheat sheet and uncover the username and password, which you can now use to test these various login forms or SSH services. In this case, if it's SSH running on the services, which you have uncovered during your Nmap scanning or other forms of recon process to uncover entry points. So to clone this tool, you have to follow the URL, which is visible here on this presentation slide, and clone the repository before installing this tool. However, there are quite a series of challenges for you to install default credentials cheat sheet because the developer of this tool just made a quick manual installation documentation, but during the process of installing, you are definitely going to face a lot of challenges in terms of trying to get the default creds working. So today we'll be showing you how to install it. We will not be troubleshooting anything. We'll just walk you through, and whatever step we demonstrate on this video, just follow these steps and you get this default creds up and running. So with that being said, let's log on to our Kali Linux machine and show you what next to do. So now we're in our Kali box. The first thing we want to do is that we want to go to the online repository of FIXITGEARWARE. So we open our Firefox, and here you can see this is their repository. Okay, there is not much documentation, and you can see a few comments on how to do manual installations. So if you follow these comments, definitely you're going to have some issues, but let's not just talk about that. Let's just walk you through it to save time. So the next thing we do is that we come back to our terminal. Where is it? And we paste and we run. Okay, sorry about that. Usually I like doing this from my desktop. So I'll just cd to my desktop for just organization processes, okay, or purposes. Then I'll paste to clone the repository and I'll hit enter. Good. Now everything is on the desktop. If we ls right now, we should be seeing default creds. Where are you? So this is the default creds cheat sheet, right? So the next thing you want to do is that you want to cd, or what we call change, into this directory called default creds. So what do? We clear this. So we run the command cd and we paste the directory name and we hit enter. Now we're done. Now we can now ls to see all the stuff inside here. Now the next thing we want to do is, by default, this tool was written using Python. So if you're familiar with Python codes or tools written on Python, it comes with a default text file which comprises of the requirements to get the tools up and running, which is also known as the requirements.txt. So to install the requirements.txt, we can do it in two ways. We can install it as a virtual environment, or we can directly install it on the system. Now, the challenge is that once you install Python requirements as a virtual environment, each time you want to run that particular tool, you have to call that virtual environment and call the name of the tool before this Python can be able to execute or run this tool. Now, what is the challenge using this process is that it wastes time, right? Instead of following the default commands, which has been stated in the documentation of the developer of these tools, you find yourself calling the virtual environment first before calling the paths to the commands or whatever instruction that was written in the documentation to get the tool up and running. So to bypass that virtual environment issues in installing requirements.txt, we will use this command. We'll say pip install -r requirements.txt. Okay, then we'll say space -- break system packages. So what are we trying to say here is that we're telling pip install to override any system packages that would stop it from installing this information provided in the requirement.txt and go ahead and install those requirements. So if we hit enter, we already installed these requirements. So everything has been satisfied. Okay. Now the next thing we need to do is to ensure that our Kali doesn't have any issues. Okay. You run this command sudo apt get update and sudo apt get full upgrade -y. So the -y argument is yes, and we provide our password. So by running this command right now, if there has been any broken packages that were altered or in some way, affected during the overriding of the pip install requirement.txt, this will be resolved by running this command. So as you can see, 0 upgraded, 0 newly installed, 0 to remove, and 0 not upgraded. And as you can see here, these are auto packages that were installed that are no more required, but it's okay. We can just leave it. This has to do with genome, so it doesn't mean anything. So the next thing we do is that we clear our screen. Now, the next thing we want to do is that we want to install the tinydb. Okay, so tinydb is such a way that it's going to call the CSV file where these credentials, was stored and retrieve those credentials each time we try to search it. Okay, so what do we do to install this tinydb? We run the command sudo apt install python 3, okay, dash tinydb. Okay, then we hit enter. Now, as you can see, we also have satisfied that requirement, and that's the reason why it's telling us that there is no need to install. Okay, so we clear this. Now, once we are done installing the tinydb, there's another package that is required by this Creds search, and that package is called Fire. So how do we install Fire? We say sudo pip install Fire, then we specify break system packages. Okay, so we are trying to override the system packages that might hinder this Fire from installing, and we hit enter. And also this has been satisfied, right? And as you can see, it tells us to use a virtual environment instead, but we of course ignore that just to override that, right? Then we go back again, we run the sudo apt get install, no, sudo apt get update, and sudo apt get full upgrade -y, right? So each time you run the break system packages, it's important that you run the update and full upgrade, so that if there are any packages that has been broken, this command will be able to pull the online repository of Kali Linux operating system updates and fix these patches by updating the database again, or the operating system distro, or the distro of your Kali Linux machine. Okay, so now we have done install Fire. Now, if we try to run this too, there will be a problem. Now, the problem is that because we installed tinydb using the sudo apt install, okay, so by default, it's gonna install the version which Kali has, right, which might not be compatible with the tool. So the next thing you need to do is that we need to upgrade the tinydb. So to upgrade the tinydb, what do? We say sudo, okay, pip, then we say -- upgrade, okay, then we say tinydb. Remember, there's a space, and we say -- of course there is a space before that, break -system packages. Okay, then we hit enter. Okay, I forgot to add install sudo pip install -- upgrade tinydb -- break system packages, and hit enter. So we should be good right now. Now, as you can see, we have satisfied that requirement, right? And of course, it's going to tell us this warning, right? Okay, so now we have done that. The next thing you need to do is you have to now run for the last time the sudo apt get update and full upgrade. Okay, you say sudo apt get update and sudo apt get full upgrade, sorry, not IP, upgrade -y, and we hit enter. Now all should be good, right? Then we do clear. Now to use this, each time you want to run the Creds cheat sheet, let's go to the root. Now we exit to the root. We do not need any of those files. Okay, one more thing I forgot to show you, which is very important. If you're running a manual install, okay, which we just did, this command is very important. After you've run the requirement.txt, you have to run this command. Okay, now this command, I will copy it out. I show you something first. Let me copy this command out. The reason why I'm not going to run this command is because I don't want it to corrupt the existing creds that I've updated in the database. Okay, so let me put this here. Now, when you have cloned the repository the first time and you have installed the requirement.txt, this command is the command you should run next. So what is this command all about? I will show you something. Apps So this command, to run this command, you will say, while you're still in the repository, okay, you say sudo, okay, cp user, Control Shift plus plus. Let me increase this. So let me go back again so you don't get confused. You don't run this command together. You run it individually while you're still in the creds repository or directory on your desktop or wherever you clone that repository in. You run this command. You say sudo, okay, copy creds, okay, to user, to bin, okay. Then you hit enter. Now, once you have done that, while you're still in the repository, you run this other command, sudo, okay, chmod. So chmod is change mode, space plus X. Then you say user, bin, okay, then you say creds. Now, for this second command, what we are trying to say is that the first command, we have copied creds, okay. If we go back here, hold on, cd to desktop, okay, ls, cd to default creds sheet. Good. Now, if we ls, we are trying to say this creds here, which we have copied to the user bin, right? We want to turn it into an executable, okay? So when we run this command sudo chmod plus X, X means executable. We are telling the command that it should go to this directory or the file path user, and inside the user, it should look for the directory bin. Then it should look for the binary file called creds and turn it into an executable. So once you're done with that, you now continue those series of commands which we have run initially. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that because I think I just had a memory skip anyway. Now, once you have done that, you can now continue those other series of commands which we ran previously. Okay, so that's what we want to demonstrate or describe to you. Nothing so serious. Okay, now, so once you're done, if you want to search for any credentials, you do not need to be in the repository anymore. You can also remove it once you're done from your desktop. So I can say cd to desktop, ls, I can say sudo rm-rf default creds, okay, cheat sheet. Okay, so good. We have removed the directory, right? So if we ls right now, it's no more here, right? Good. Now let's go back to our root or anywhere we want to be. Now to search for any creds, we can just say sudo. Remember, you have to use super user do, okay? Then you say creds, you say search, okay? Then you specify what you want to search for. So here, let's say we want to search for SSH, right? Now we hit enter. Creds is going to populate this table, okay? And we are going to see all the default creds about SSH for different products. Like you can see for Apple jailbroken device running SSH, by default, this is the default username, this is the default password. So this makes it easy, especially if you're pen testing or if you're working on some, you know, some bug bounty program. Okay, now let's clear this. I can also come here and I can say creds search Tomcat, and everything about Apache Tomcat will be listed. Okay, I can also clear. I can say, okay, come here, creds search everything about Cisco, and everything about Cisco will be, you know, displayed here. I can also clear this. I come here and say, okay, creds search Citrix. I'm not sure if it's gonna be here. Good. Now you can see for Citrix, right? So I can say creds search webcam. Let's see. Good. Now you can see everything is displayed here. So this is how you use the creds to search for default credentials of any services you're pen testing. Okay, just run it, and this is just like very easy. You do not need to start brute forcing a million word list or trying to search on Google if you can obtain those default credentials. One more command I also want to show you is that from time to time, the repository is always updated. So if you look at here, you can see the last time they updated this repository was just, if I'm not wrong, 2 months ago. So it was recently updated here, and the CSV file, which is the cheat sheet, was recently updated. Okay. So each time you check the repository, or each time you just feel like you're free, you do not need to even go online to check the repository. You just come here, you say sudo, okay, creds, and you say updates, and you hit enter. And if there are updates, it's gonna tell you and update it. But as you can see, we have the latest updates. It tells us that check for new updates, search, no actions needed, we are fine. Okay, so that's how you use creds, and this tool is very awesome. Okay, I hope you can be able to incorporate this into your bug bounty or pen testing activities, especially, once again, especially when you're dealing with a lot of, attack surfaces you're trying to uncover, and you find informations, right? You don't want to be wasting time to be searching on Google for default credentials. You can just call this tool, put the credentials of the services which you just uncovered using your Swiss Army knife, which is the Nmap, or any other tool you use, and of course obtain these default credentials and try them to see which one works to bypass the admin login configurations. Okay, so with that being said, we have come to an end of this week's episode, and we hope this video has been interesting to you and you have learned something new as well. So if you find this video interesting, please do not hesitate to give us a like by hitting that thumbs up button, subscribe by hitting that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to be the first to get notified when next we make another video on Tools Friday series with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY. Thanks for watching, and see you next week. Bye for now.